Miranda Kerr said, I think for any relationship to be successful, there needs to be loving communication, appreciation, and understanding. As you may or may not know, my name is Curtis Walker, and I wanted to take a few moments to briefly talk about communication, why it is important, and what are a couple of aspects that we use during our lifespan. Communication, why is this important? In our culture and history, communication is the means of transferring ideas, concepts, history, norms, values, and customs. Furthermore, through communication, we establish community on several levels, whether that be family, friends, associates, or work relationships. Through communication, we develop self-awareness. We receive affirmation and we struggle with rejection. For instance, I'm aware that my speech patterns, meter, tone, can cause another person to love or have a positive or negative feeling. I can be awfully aware of myself if I have said something that offends someone, even if it is not intended, as well as if I have said something that is well received or rejected. This impacts my own self-awareness. Another facet of communication is the ability to adapt or improvise. Many times we start off with the intention of saying one thing, but the conversation shifts and we must alter our direction of conversation and shift it to another. This is called adaptability. I can recall during the trust talks on campus, I was not prepared to speak from an outline, but rather had to speak ad lib. Having the ability to converse freely is a form of adaptability that served me well in that day. Another form of communication is empathy, the ability to understand or share the feelings of another. Right now, this form of communication comes in handy. Our society is dealing with the outbreak of a disease, and there are many opinions, some strong on this issue. Having the ability to step back and view this issue from another person's position or perspective and to understand why they take this stance is a form of empathetic communication. From my own point of view, I am a willing listener, yet I have my own stance as well. That leads me to the complex nature of communication. It is often said that communication is not just what is said, but what is heard. In my own life, I can recall times where I said one thing, but the person heard something entirely different. This is the complex nature of communicating effectively. It is not just the saying, but the understanding that makes it communication. Cognitive complexity, or understanding a situation a variety of ways. Did your communication transfer exactly as you meant it? What factors are in play that might cause the other person to not understand? Could it be a prior negative experience? Could it be they were preoccupied with another thought? These are things we should consider in our communications. The last point is the impact ethics has on our communications. How do we communicate and treat people fairly, honestly, and avoid immoral or unethical behavior? What is our guide? Society and culture can aid us in accepted norms, yet we know there are subcultures that exist between social groups and ethnic groups. What is said amongst friends can be different amongst work peers or in religious settings. As a competent communicator, knowing your setting can be extremely helpful in knowing what the accepted means of communicating should be. In conclusion, we have only touched the surface on the art of effective communication and why it is important to hone this skill. I hope this has been informational and enjoyable to hear. We are all communicating daily, even when we don't think that we are.